Hey, we're doing another episode of the Top 8 podcast, and this one is going to send you right back to elementary school. When you get home from school, you log on to the family computer, and you quickly check to see if your crush is online.
Yep, this is the lyrics that you put in your MSN away message, or for the Americans, I think it was AOL away message. I can't remember what the American version of MSN was.
I had this whole discussion on, I don't remember if it was Instagram or TikTok, because I had done a video about MSN statuses and someone mentioned AOL, like MSN was Canadian.
Yeah.
So I asked if it was Canadian, and then a whole other discussion came up. It really depended on where you were.
Okay.
Because a lot of Americans used MSN and a lot of them used AOL, and there was a whole bunch of different ones. We're just going to make this episode your messenger away status.
That's
because whether you were on MSN or AOL, we still had the same experience. We were still angsty teens putting in, some pretty concerning statuses.
And say, yeah, that day my crush didn't look at me, so I went home, loaded up RuneScape on one side, MSN on the other side.
I'm not okay, Mom.
Exactly. So yeah, we're gonna go through our top 8 lists of lyrics that we had in our away message. So,
And of course, I'm Matt Vatisse.
TJ, as always. Always forget to introduce ourselves.
Now we're like getting into a groove. We're just like, yeah, let's just do it. They hopefully know who we are now.
Yeah, exactly. You want to kick things off, or you want me to?
Our thousands and thousands of listeners. Yeah, I'll kick things off.
Cool.
I need to pull up my list. Okay, so number 8, I put number 8 is for when, you're in the 8th grade and your crush just said yes to being your boyfriend or girlfriend. You would put this in your MSN status. I'm addicted to you.
Oh, nice.
And then you put their name. Simple Plan, taken number 8.
Okay. I have Simple Plan on my list as well. It's not the same. It's a different lyric, but yeah, it's later on. But that is a good one. Yeah.
What do you have at number 8?
All of mine are the complete opposite, where it's basically you're sad and depressed.
There's a mix of those in there.
Okay, I don't think I have any happy ones, so you can tell where my head was at when I was growing up. But my number 8 is my shadow's the only one that walks beside me. My shallow heart's the only thing that's beating. Green Day.
Green Day.
Yeah. Boulevard of Broken Dreams.
I've seen that one from a few people.
Yeah, it's an iconic lyric. I don't know. Kind of speaks for yourself. I'm depressed. I'm lonely. Nothing else to say.
Majority of these are going to be cries for help from 13-year-old us.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's kind of like rough that we were listening to growing up, and this was like what we were mostly listening to, but we made it through.
This is why we are the way that we are.
Exactly.
I think I love how much of a cry for help all of these were, but nobody just thought anything of it. But were they really a cry for help? I don't know.
Just attention seeking.
Yeah, I tried to keep a mix of different statuses in there where they're not all just cries for help. Some of them are like different scenarios. So like number 7 for me, I just put hello there, the angel from my nightmare.
Oh, nice. Okay, I have a different Blink-182 lyric on my list.
That one was more so just because, it was like a neutral mood one, it was kind of something cool and dark, but, it's MSN or like AOL, so you're chatting with your friends. It's like, hello there, the angel from my nightmare.
It's inquisitive. It makes you think.
Mm-hmm. You weren't necessarily in a bad mood or looking for attention or anything like that, but it was just like, yeah, I just want to like say hi to my friends.
Fair. My number 7 is I'm Not Oh Fucking K. My Chemical Romance. I feel like I've seen this lyric just memed a shit ton as well.
This one needs all the fancy little MSN logos.
It's where like the one letter is bigger and smaller and bigger and smaller.
You got the little dots up and down and little swirls.
Yes, exactly.
My number 6 is Note to Self, I Miss You Terribly.
Oh, good one.
And that one goes in there with,
From first to last, right?
Yeah, you just went through a breakup. You're missing them, and you want the whole world to know that you are going through it and you miss your person. And everybody knows that your laundry is getting aired out, but no one really cares.
Nope.
But you still want everyone to know. because you want them to see it and be like, I am missing you. Come back to me, please. Back to me, back to me, to me. So that's what that one's for.
That's amazing. My number 6, a little bit dark, because I'd rather feel pain than nothing at all. 3 Days Grace. This album is just, I love this album growing up. So Pain was just one of those songs where I was unnecessarily angsty and listening to, like where you would have the head leaned against the window and it's raining. I pictured this and like Tears Don't Fall playing. So this was, that kind of vibe.
You okay, buddy?
I'm okay. I'm okay. You know what? Sometimes you just need a hug. It's okay.
Number 5. Number 5 for me, I remember one time in high school, we were, dabbling in a little bit of oregano. And,
okay.
And a friend of me just turns to me and he is like, it's nothing personal. You're an embarrassment. And I was like, I was so, infatuated with the oregano that was in my hand. And I was like, what? Like, I took it personally. I was like, is this guy saying that I'm an embarrassment? Like, what did I do? What? And then it clicked. Oh, it's a Circa Survive lyric. And after I heard that, I went to go and put that in my MSN because I thought that it was so good.
Amazing. So I actually didn't know that was like a Circa Survive lyric.
Yeah,
so.
It's from holding someone's hair back.
Oh, okay. Good stuff. Okay, growing up with divorced parents, this one hits close to home. If this is what he wants and it's what she wants, then why is there so much pain from staying together for the kids? Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of people that are into this scene also grew up with the divorced parents trope. I feel like it is a thing. And this song just hits so close to home for that. So that lyric specifically has always stuck with me.
That song, I think, is just as, if not more emotional than the Adam song.
Oh, I think it's more emotional for sure. I think it depends if you have like that personal connection to it too, if like you can relate.
I can't even imagine relating to that because it's like, for me, it's like my parents are still together. Like I'm very fortunate, very lucky. But that song was like an emotional song even for me. Yeah. And maybe it's because I had friends and close family members that were going through that, and maybe I was like just really empathizing with their situation. But like that song, even still to this day, gives me goosebumps. It's just like, it's such a good emotional song.
It is. I think it really comes through too, where like the verses are like a sad emotional and then it turns angry when like the instrumentals come in. I think they do that song so well. It's like so dynamic and yeah.
It's perfect.
Can't say enough good things about it.
For me, number 4, one of the most iconic emo lines. I'll be just fine pretending I'm not.
Yeah, that's a good one.
The use that's, when you just, you want to let people that know that you're going through it, but also if they see you in person, you're going to put a smile on and fake it,
Every day.
Yeah. So that was like the perfect one for that.
I didn't think about that one. I don't have it on my list, but that is a good one. It'll be in our communal. My next one, my scars remind me that the past is real. Papa Roach. Scars.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I think it's so like encompassing. Like it's not just a specific type of like emotional connection. It's like all emotional connections. Whatever your scars are, you can relate to Papa Roach. So
yeah, I have something similar actually in my number 1 spot, which we'll get into after. Yep. But it's not Papa Roach, I promise. My number 3 was on your list. I'm Not Okay, I Promise, by My Chemical Romance. That one is like a classic staple for the really MSN and AOL days. It was just like, even if you were having the best day ever, it was just so like emo and cool to be like, I'm not okay. I'm not fucking okay, I promise.
Yeah. It still functioned to like be the song that you were listening to too.
1,000%. Half of the time we were putting lyrics in our statuses, at least with me, it was just like, it was a song that I was vibing to at the moment.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, I do have a couple of optimistic ones on my list. So number 3 is I Know Somewhere Somehow We'll Be Together, Yellow Card, Ocean Avenue. Okay. So even if you've lost something, I'm looking forward to potentially, getting this back in the future. I think it's a positive message. So
do you have like a personal experience with this one?
With Yellow Card, not so much. I just think it's good. I feel like I have the deeper connection with all of these. To be fair, I put together this list relatively on short notice compared to some of the other ones we've done. So maybe it should be a bit lower, but I still think it's good.
My number 2 was the one that you put in your MSN status when you fully divulged into the emo genre. You know, you're 13, 14 years old, you're logging on to MSN after school, and you just like, you want everyone to know that you know, you've got your own eyeliner and you're painting your nails black.
Yes.
And you're sad and you want everyone to know, because you kind of want someone to take a picture or print screen and give it to the teacher to check in on you. Like, it's, you know,
this is the cry for help.
This is the cry for help.
Okay.
Just cut my wrists and black my eyes.
Ah, yes.
It was the ultimate emo cry for help at 14 years old.
It's a concerning lyric, to be honest. It's like taking a step further from like, I'm not just sad, I'm like on the edge of suicidal. Like,
and as
not that that's something to laugh about, but
as like 14-year-old emo kids, we were just like, oh, this is like the emo line.
It really is.
Like,
damn.
This was the emo song and the emo line. It has to go in my profile status.
Absolutely. Number 2 for me, I don't have like the biggest connection with this song, but I've definitely seen it everywhere. You Were the Last Good Thing About This Part of Town, followed by Grand Theft Autumn.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty obvious. I think it's probably one of the most like quoted pop punk lyrics of all time, really. I think there was an article too, I can't remember who actually put it out, of like lyrics that you had, like the most tattooed lyrics or something like that too. And this was on that list as well. Yeah. So it was, I don't know, it's a popular one. So
I
had to
just
put it on there.
love how every single pop punk band and song like mentions getting out of this town, and we all ate it up at like 15 years old. We're like, yeah, you know, this town sucks, or like, but like you don't know anything outside of your own 4 walls.
Yeah.
Or it's like, yeah, I'm never gonna be in this town. I gotta get out of this town. And it's just like, you don't know any better. Like, I love that meme where it's like pop punk songs, gotta get out of this town, and it's like the town, and this is beautiful like Oceanside, California town, like got all these mansions, gotta do anything to
all
get
the
out of this
LA
town.
bands that are like, get me out of here.
Yeah, and you're just like, wait, you want to get out of there? Like, everyone else wants to get there.
Yeah, most people are trying to get to where you are, buddy.
My number 1 is Let's Compare Scars. I'll tell you whose is worse.
Oh.
Swing Life Away by Rise Against.
Damn.
This one was number 1 because this is the one that I can remember the most as being my status for the longest time. I loved Rise Against. I still do. And I don't know, like those lyrics hit with me. And it was just, it got to a point where you'd stop changing your status so often when you were kind of like getting into the middle to later years of high school, and you would just kind of like pick one and stick with it, you know? And that was the one that I'd pick and stick to it, because it was just you know, let's compare scars. I'll tell you whose is worse. It's like, you know, we've all got our own scars and pain points and all of that. And it's like, you want to compare them? Sure. And the way that I took it, I think as a teen, was like, not so much like of a like, oh, my trauma is worse than yours, so you're not allowed to be sad. I should be more sad than you. Or like, you know, yours is worse than mine, so I'll feel better. Right. It was more so like, hey, you know what? Like, I've got my shit, you've got your shit.
Exactly.
Let's sit around, let's talk about it, and let's, you know, bond in our like trauma bonds, you know?
It's very much that perspective of like, you don't know what other people are going through. So like, yeah, don't be a fucking asshole.
And Swing Life Away is just such like a romantic song as well. As you know, I'll get by a minimum wage. Like, just like the whole theme of that song is very romantic to me. So I think because that song feels very romantic,
it's like, we're okay being okay.
Yeah. Like, so this line felt like it might be a little bit concerning, but also it was like reaching your hand out to someone.
Agreed.
And I like that.
I like that a lot.
So it kind of like hit all of those notes for the perfect MSN status.
Absolutely. My number 1, I'm surprised it wasn't on your list, to be honest. I'm just a kid and life is a nightmare. Simple plan. I mean, this was definitely the lyric that I had in my status the most often.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, not at all.
Not at all. I knew so
especially because I
people.
hated changing it, where I would just set it and leave it for years.
It was, even as a kid, that song, and I'll say this right now, like, it was always too cringy for me, even as a
Really?
kid.
Okay.
I never liked that song by Simple Plan.
Interesting.
They had other songs that I did like, but I'm Just a Kid always bothered me. I don't know why. Maybe as a kid, I saw the video of them singing it and I thought, oh, well, like, they're not kids, they're older.
Fair.
You know? So it's like, it kind of feels weird. It feels like dad singing about being a kid.
Yeah.
Even though he wasn't that old to be our dad.
Right.
But... And like now looking back, it still feels very childish to me. Like it's just like it sounds like a kid having a temper tantrum. So I've never been able to connect with that song.
It's an interesting perspective. I think like it is funny when bands, you know, we're 20 years past the release of this song, and these guys are obviously like in their 40s still singing I'm just a kid and life is a nightmare, where there is a bit of a, I don't know, you have to be self-aware and be like, okay, of when they wrote this, it made more sense. I think I just took it as the band is making music for people at the age that I was at that could relate to, and that's it. Just stuck with me. I mean, even when we saw them at When We Were Young, they put on probably the most unexpectedly best set at When We Were Young. And I remember for this one, this song, they had like Jarrett from Bowling for Soup and a couple other guys come on and join them, and it was just like it became a core memory for me at this point too, where this song will forever be one of my favorites.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not a knock to Simple Plan. I saw them at When We Were Young too.
I totally get the perspective.
And they put on an amazing show. They, you know, really went all out. They've got a lot of great songs. It's just that's the one song from them that it's a personal thing. It feels like a whiny baby.
Like disingenuous a little bit.
Yeah, it's like it feels like a 9-year-old having a temper tantrum, and
Okay.
it felt that way when I was 13 and the song came out.
Fair.
You know, so it was just kind of like I never connected to it because even when it came out, I was, I think, like, what year did it come out?
I think it was on the No Pads, No Helmet. So 04.
04. So in 04, I was 13. And once you kind of hit 13, you start going through that, like, you know, puberty age where you
Sorry,
start
2002.
2002. Okay, so I was 11
I
when
was
it
gonna say
came
I
out.
was only 9, so this was very much like
Yeah, so you were very much a
a
kid.
kid, and life was a nightmare.
I don't know. It still felt, I think around like 11 is when I started discovering like Metallica and stuff. And I started discovering
You're
that
already
stuff a
moving
little
on
bit.
to like
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it did feel, it just felt too childish, and I didn't feel like a kid even though I was a kid, which is hilarious to say.
You did say that in your Pipeline episode where you started with like Avril and then you immediately jumped back to like the old school grunge and everything. And then
Yeah,
it was
I-
eventually later on. So maybe it was just like, if you didn't form the connection then, it wouldn't be lasting now.
Which is why I
Whereas
still
I
have
did.
that connection to Avril, but then I feel like I jumped from Avril to Metallica and abandoned Avril and went back to her later on.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like I didn't have that like Avril and Simple Plan. And also I think my youngest brother was really into Simple Plan at the time. So it was like he was listening to it, and then I almost associated it with like his
Being
music and
childish.
childish.
Yeah, okay.
So, you know, it's just, and it's mostly just, once again, it really comes down to that one song. Like Perfect is an amazing song. They have so
Yeah.
many great songs, but I'm Just a Kid, I just never connected with, even when I was a kid. So that's my gripe with it. There's nothing against the song.
Yeah, of course.
It's just I don't have a personal connection to it. So, but don't get me wrong, I know a lot of people in my year did, and I saw a lot of people with that MSN status. So it's definitely one of the big ones.
Yeah.
But I'm just,
I could not put it at number one. I feel like it's just like, all right, it spoke to like that early generation of pop punk for me. And it's just like the most, like, that lyric sums up basically how everybody else was saying the same thing in more complicated ways. And they just put it into, I'm a kid, life is a nightmare. It's just like the simplest version of that, you know? It's easily digestible.
It's also a good one for MSN statuses because it's one of those ones where you can just sort of add into your MSN status and forget about it, which is why I put Rise Against in my number one spot.
Right.
You know, because the first few were kind of situational, but when you get out of that situation, what are you going to go to?
The tried and true.
Exactly. I'm just a kid. I'm not okay. So
Yeah.
cut my wrists and black my eyes.
That, yeah, of course.
You know, let's compare scars. All of these things are all the tried and true. So I'm really curious how we're going to figure out what the top 8, the collective top 8 is going to be for this one.
Which we're going to do right now. So we'll be right back. All right.
All right, this one was actually pretty easy because I think we were really putting ourselves back in time, and it was 2005 again, and we were logging on to MSN and trying to think of what lyrics were actually in not just ours, but our friends' statuses.
Definitely.
Depending on the moments that they were kind of going through, right? So which ones did we actually see that were the most common? So why don't you tell us, what are we doing for number 8, TJ?
Number 8, we have From First to Last with...
Yes, so you just went through a breakup. And you want the whole world to know, Becky. I don't actually know a Becky, but I don't know why that
Where did
was the
that
first.
come from?
I have no idea. It was like the first name I thought
That's
of.
that thing that where like your wife says pick a female or like a woman's
They
name.
name a woman.
Why don't you say my name?
Use her name. Like, she didn't break my heart. So, but note to self, I miss you terribly.
Yeah.
This is what we call a tragedy. Has to be in there.
Absolutely. Number 7 was The Used, another one of your picks.
Yes, I'll be just fine pretending I'm not. You want to let the world know, yeah, you may see a smile on my face, but I'm not fucking okay, Mom.
There's more under the surface that you do not know about.
Yeah, this is like so much like childhood emo angst
It
in
really
these.
is.
It's like bringing me right back. It's great.
I love it. Number 6, we had Blink-182 with If This Is What He Wants and It's What She Wants, Then Why Is There So Much Pain? From Stay Together for the Kids, which was an iconic divorced kids anthem. Rise up, divorced kids.
Yeah, and I think we talked about this before we started recording, like in between as we were debating on it. I remember so many friends putting this as their status as their parents were going through a divorce. So this is one of those like iconic MSN statuses, lines, songs, everything had to be on the list.
Definitely. Number 5, we had Papa Roach with Scars. My scars remind me that the past is real, which is so encompassing for any sort of pain, trauma, whatever you're going through. It sums it all up.
I see this lyric etched into the back of my brain.
Absolutely.
On MSN.
Yeah.
With every other letter being in caps lock.
Yep. Number 4, we had Hawthorne Heights.
Yes. Cut my wrists and black my eyes. One of the most epic
That's the emo lyric,
lines.
man.
Yeah. And like, you could call it cringy, sure. Like, whatever, however you feel about that line, joke, take it real, whatever. It's just still one of those like really iconic lines, especially for a 14-year-old that thought they were really friggin' deep.
Absolutely. Number 3, we had My Chem with I'm Not Okay.
This even the non-emo kids had in their dance
Yeah, exactly.
statuses.
Whether you're just shouting out the song or actually saying I'm not okay,
Yeah.
everybody had it.
Yeah.
Number 2, Simple Plan. I'm just a kid and life is a nightmare. Again, I think I said it before. Just kind of, it's the most simple way to say what I think a lot of other bands had said.
I relate to this song more in my 30s than I did in the 30s. Just saying.
That's fair.
I'm just a kid,
do
man.
we need to have a talk too?
Yeah, I'm just a kid. Life is a nightmare. I hate working. I just
Seriously.
want to go home and eat ice cream.
Work sucks. I know. We all should have had that one on there too. The lyrics for the 30-year-olds MSN away message. Work sucks. I know.
We should do an episode about that. What lyrics we would have in our MSN status today if MSN was still a thing.
Yes.
That's an episode idea. Write it down.
Yep,
Work
jot it
sucks. I
down.
know.
Jot it
Number
down.
1. We did the spoiler.
And then number 1, of course, was Rise Against.
Yes. Let's compare scars. I'll tell you whose is worse.
Yeah.
Just, we've had this conversation. It's such a hard-hitting lyric, and I think
I do love the perspective of not being like judging somebody for like their trauma, but being like, we are both going through things and that's okay.
I think I've mentioned this in the past, like publicly, whatever, too. One of my favorite lyrics and lines is from a song by Brian Fallon called Rosemary. And he has a line in there that basically says, everybody's hurt and mine ain't the worst, but it's mine and I'm feeling it now.
Right.
And I think like those are sort of like songs like that and songs like Rise Against where like that connection, I think, hits me the hardest in music because I feel like, I will admit I've lived a pretty privileged life in a lot of aspects.
Yeah, a lot of these, what we're talking about today is coming from a place of unwarranted teenage angst for the most part.
For the most part.
You're going through things and it's okay, but like...
But I think these messages really hit with me personally because it's like I think also growing up, there was a lot of the times where it was like, oh, you're going through something. There was a lot of like that, like, you know, brush off of like, oh, well, like other people have it worse, or like at least you have food in your belly. Some people don't have food in your belly, but it's like, okay, so that's just going to write off my heartbreak or my anger or whatever emotion I was feeling. So like these types of lyrics really, I think like I resonate with them because it's like everybody's hurt. Mine ain't the worst, but it's mine. I'm feeling like that. It doesn't mean that my emotions aren't valid. I think it's the same thing with like the Rise Against song. Like, let's compare scars. I'll tell you whose is worse, but it's like an opening, like it's an olive branch to other people. So it's like, it's that side of things, you know? I don't know. That's the way that I kind of think of it. And that's the way I like my music like that, right? It's like that's what emo music is. It's like, hey, fuck, we're feeling all these emotions right now.
Let's share in that.
Let's all collectively like live in this and share it and feel it together. And that's what I feel like those like heavy hitting lyrics do. So that's why I like those. And I like that we can all relate to that sort of feeling and I guess translation of the song.
Definitely. What lyrics did you have in your away message? Because I'm sure that we missed some.
Yes, I really want to know 100% because this was so like personal.
It is.
Right? It's so subjective and so personal. We all think of different things. These were just ours, but you could be like, dude, how do you not remember this one? Because you had it in your MSN status and we never did. So let us know, what did you have as your MSN status? And I think that's another episode of the Top 8 podcast.
Definitely like, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and we'll see you next week.